Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Today.
Can't stop snapping. We have the OTA, my friends. Major changes, a lot of cards that are mainstays in the current meta, getting moved to more expensive but also more powerful. Really awesome thought around those. We also had Proxima Midnight release, completing the Black Order set in the game. And we're going to be continuing our tier list, so stay tuned. You don't want to miss a single moment of this episode. Brad, Proxima Midnight. We initially, I think, called her being better than Corvus Glaive. Where do you think they're falling now that we've seen him in action?
So I think Corvus Glaive is running out of steam a little bit. Like he's not as impactful as he was that first week. But that typically happens, right? When it comes to new cards, they usually get played a lot, and then people are like, "Oh my god, this is broken," and then it kind of settles. I think they're around the same card. They're pretty, but I think I do give the edge to Proxima Midnight simply because she did for the the discard deck, like the typical MODOK, APOC kind of thing, what Corvus wishes he could. Now, I will say, Proxima's really good in the very traditional, just running APOC, Morbius, all that stuff, right?
Yes.
Where Corvus is better in the version that's doing a bit more with what's it called? Like Collector and like the new Helicarrier, stuff like that. That's where Corvus shines a bit better because you want to be able to get the extra energy to make use of like the random cards you're getting. I think that's
also some card generation, right? Yeah.
Right. So they go in different decks. Now you could put Proxima in that deck, of course, right? But and she'll probably still be pretty good in that version with Corvus and all that. But I think she's honestly brought back some consistency to the regular discard list, like just running her over Wolverine or even both in some instances. Because the amount of people I've gone against that are running this deck, and I'm just like, how do you have these cards every single time? How do you have them every single time? It's insane. It's really good.
No, I think that it's elevated the deck. I don't think the deck is meta, at least not yet, but she definitely improved it. And it's one of those where, like, if you've got Gambit, you're kind of in with a prayer in any given matchup, except against Destroy. But it's really fun to be able to play. And I had, like, just, a value discard deck that was running Proxima that I took Proving Grounds to Gold 3. I lost in a Heartbreaker, but I think that is kind of case in point. It proves that the deck can go the distance, especially when you're sharp on what your win conditions are, when you snap, when you retreat. Definitely having Proxima is a high impact on snapping or retreating. So either Corvus's stats, we're looking at 0.09 average cubes per game, win weight, should have done this one. Win weight of 51%, popularity 8.3%. So that's the hot new card showing through.
And as always, this is based on the last 30 days, ranks 80 to 100 plus, and 6,000 plus collection level. So let's look at Proxima. Hopefully I can see her quickly on this list.
Yeah, if we have enough data on her.
We're going to type her.
It's also one of those that's interesting to evaluate because at the end of the season, and especially leading into the next season, I think a lot of people pass on the cards just because the data mine cards are right on the horizon. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's Pixie. That's the other thing, is it's Pixie coming out next. So people have their caches stacked.
And we're looking at pretty much the same card here. It's funny. The husband and wife are pretty much identical in terms of their cubes, win rates, all that. Her win rate's just above Corvus's at a slightly less popularity at 1.5. Makes sense, though. Corvus has a bit more application to other decks. She's very straight up like in one or two decks. And Corvus is more exciting, I think. So slightly more people will pick him up over her. But at least half the people that picked up Corvus probably want Proxima. And just a 0.07. Look at this 007 over here.
It's cool. I am fascinated by this idea of a Moon Girl discard. Mm-hmm. Two Proximas into a MODOK feels like it would pop off. And it's a clean curve, 4 into 5. Especially with a targeted discard early in the game to cultivate the hand size down into a manageable level. So you're looking at like 2 Wolverines, 2 Proximas,
Right.
and heck, APOC, or even Swarm. Like, if Moon Girl copies Swarm, Modok still hits 2 Swarms, and they all become
Right.
free, my friends. They all become free. It's very greedy. Moon Girl decks have always just been super greedy. But there might be a little more to Proxima that we haven't unlocked yet.
Yeah, I think there's a. I've been interested in that idea. I've tried the hand buff idea with like
You did okay. Okay.
Nakia and things like that. Uh it just can't keep up, you know? Like you'd rather just be
Yeah.
playing like the bigger stuff.
Right.
It's cute. It wins when it can, but it's kind of like the whole like it reminds me of the Jund deck that's running like Black Bolt, Stature, and like Doctor Doom and stuff like that, and then just like Miss Marvel with Zabu.
Sure.
And it's like, sure, you can win games, but on average, when your best high roll versus your opponent's best high roll on average, you lose. It's kind of how
Yeah.
that deck, those kind of decks feel.
The deck that I found the most success with had both Silver Samurai and Gambit in it. So you had a little bit of interaction with the opponent and then just these free stats on your side and Wolverine and Proxima. And it ended up playing in a really fun way. So got to
Right.
keep on looking to refine it. But then again, there's always exciting new stuff to play out. And I think this is a great segue into our balance changes where we're looking at an America Chavez, a hand buff change. Brad, new America Chavez, going from a 2/3 to a 1/2, same ability, giving the top card of your deck +2 power. Is she going to unlock anything in this archetype that you're so fond of?
And which archetype?
Hand buff.
Oh no.
Okay. It's
Pretty
not
easily
enough.
no. Not enough.
Makes her way easier to fit in, though.
No, you're right. You're right. And like I've played her in today on stream. I played the classic Brood Forge Absman like Patriot list. And
Nice.
with Howard and Iron Lad in the list as well,
The
she
what?
felt I know.
Howard?
She felt really good in that
Okay,
list. I would look at my top card and be like, "Oh, cool, we're hitting an Iron Lad. All right, draw him. Look at look at Howard. Oh, Mr. Sinister's there. I just get 2 4/10s.
Why
That was
not?
on Karmatage because he was a 4/6, went to 4/8,
Oh, wow.
4/10.
Gosh.
So
That's
you can do
terrifying.
some fun stuff. I think she's pretty good. I think she can be in a lot of decks. But now, finally, there's a reason to play Howard if you wanted to have the ability to have like Iron Lad Chavez. I just wish there was like one more card that cared about like the top of your deck. I know Jubilee does, but
I was going to
Jubilee
say, is it
doesn't.
not Jubilee?
But like in those decks, like I guess if you take the core of Chavez, Jubilee, Iron Lad, and Howard, right? Initially, my brain's like, you want Brood, you want those things, like right. So I don't feel like Jubilee fits in those because then you're already tight on board space and pulling out a
Yeah.
Brood or whatever Jubilee feels bad.
No,
Maybe Living
exactly.
Tribunal could be fine in this kind of shell, like these 4 cards.
Is there a world where, like, how would you balance a gladiator that's hitting your top card? You know what I mean?
Oh, like you can destroy it if it's lower.
Yeah, some criteria of it stays if it's within a certain match to the stats, but it's destroyed otherwise.
I don't think you can even make that card
No?
because the problem is like in destroy decks specifically that want to have things destroyed, it'd be like to balance it against those kind of decks, you'd have to make him lower in power, right? So
Well,
it'd
yeah.
have to be like a 3. But then you're still hitting Bucky, you're still hitting Wolverine, you're still hitting Deadpool on his first couple hits without any
No, I feel
extra
like
buffs.
if the card's too big from your own deck, it gets destroyed, and then the little ones stay. It'd still be like
Yeah, but
probably
then
too
if
good
it's
at
too
thinning your own
small,
deck.
if it's too small, then it's just another Jubilee that gives you a
Yeah,
free card.
sure.
So that's see what I mean? Like they're like on one hand you're giving us a better Jubilee, on another hand you're giving us a great tech for destroy. So I feel like
Yeah,
if you can't balance it one way or the other in either direction without making the other polar opposite inherently broken.
yeah, maybe not. I mean, I
So
guess like Pixie might care, so you know what's in the deck and you're about to draw for when you play her, but probably not. You just probably play Pixie as soon as you can,
yeah.
every time. Now, fascinating with, I know I'm jumping around a lot, but with a Pixie deck,
Yep.
or a Mr. Negative deck, or a number of these other decks, getting extra cards into your hand. Like Destroy loves getting extra card draw. They have altered the fundamental OG card draw card, Adam Warlock, from 2-0 unplayable to 5-4 also unplayable? Question mark. I don't like this change. What do you think?
So it's not good.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's slightly better than the 2.0 version, but
Really?
I think they're going to end up changing it again.
Well, I hope so. I do hope so. But it just feels like almost disrespectful. They made him 3 points more expensive and only 4 points of power better. I expect a much higher return on 3 energy than
It's
4 power.
it's because they're terrified of the draw.
Well, yeah, but moving him to a 5 cost, like, already puts distance between him being run in a lot of the decks that are trying to assemble these wombo combos. Like Living Tribunal needs to play something effective for the combo on 5. Destroy needs to be destroying stuff on 5.
Well, I think we need to kind of remember this is probably a card you want to play with Magic and Wave, right? So I didn't test that today. I didn't see anyone else testing that. What I did see is a lot of people immediately saying, how could you second dinner? How could you remove this card, this beloved? It was actually even really good as a 2-0. Do you know how many people I saw be like, I used to love playing Bast into this and it would catch people off guard and it was so good. I won so many games.
Okay,
this is from Glenn himself.
1% of
this
the
is
player
from Glenn
base
himself. Okay. Adam Warlock as a 2-0 had a worse win percentage than Agatha.
Okay? Oh no.
Let me say that again.
That's crazy.
Adam Warlock in his original state as a 2-0 from Glenn Jones himself, the head game designer of the entirety of Marvel Snap, had a worse win percentage than Agatha. Now, if you look at the other cards that have a worse percentage,
did he respond if there's any other cards in that category?
If we look at Untapped, there are. But you know what they are? They're cards that are played in Agatha.
In Agatha. Fair. Okay.
And of course, the 6/14 sometimes, when played, wins you more often games on her own back than Quicksilver or Domino.
Yeah.
Right?
This is brutal.
Those had worse win rates.
Adam Warlock desperately needs a change. And I think that it needs to divorce him from the draw effect. I don't even find that particularly thematic to his character.
I don't either.
So I'm not going to be sad to see it go.
Well, it's thematic in the sense that Adam Warlock is the supremely powerful character, right? One of the most powerful characters in Marvel. Yeah. And you're getting the most powerful effect in Marvel Snap. So
or maybe most card games is card draw.
Yeah, in most card games, yeah. But especially Marvel Snap based on the size of the deck. But I agree. Just rework him. Make him a different card entirely. Make him interesting. Give people a reason to run this card. It's a beloved character, whether you're a fan of the MCU version. Most people aren't because they kind of underutilized him a little bit.
Meh.
I liked him in the small doses I was given, but I wish I had more. And he
so they didn't quite butcher him as bad as what do you think they've done the worst? This is such a tangent. The worst justice to or the most injustice to? Is it the Taskmaster MCU version? Is that the worst?
No, because it's okay. Let me backtrack.
For the Kingpin. They did Kingpin pretty dirty.
Did they? Kingpin was like an
MCU official. The Fox, like the earlier shows, I know he was pretty cool.
No, like in the shows, like Daredevil, Echo. Yeah.
Well, we haven't had. So I'm not talking about the Daredevil show. I know Daredevil shows where he cut his teeth. In Echo, I feel like not great.
It's the same guy.
Yeah, but I feel like he's written worse.
They're both MCU.
I just feel like he's written worse. I guess they've technically acquired it.
No, they didn't acquire it. They already owned it.
Gotcha.
The Daredevil show with Charlie Cox was originally an MCU show. It was the Hell's Kitchen shows. Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Daredevil, Luke Cage, and then Punisher were the 5 shows that took place in Hell's Kitchen.
Somehow I never connected them to MCU.
Because they wanted them to be like isolated and almost not be canon, but were. Like they wanted to, so because it was the earliest form of MCU's like dipping into TV, because they're
Yeah,
also all Netflix originals as well. They wanted to make them as isolated within themselves as possible, crossover with each other, right? So you had the Defenders was a show that came out as well that featured all four,
right,
um, and some conversation of things that happened within the movies and stuff, but not a lot. Like the Battle of New York and stuff like that was mentioned.
right.
But again, because they were so new comparatively, just to this was before Agents of Shield and stuff like that came out as well on like basic cable. Um, they wanted to just kind of keep it far enough away where I don't really think about the rest of the MCU, just in case it failed. It gave them a backup option. They could later just be like, "Oh yeah, that's not canon," because it was so
Sure.
poor and so badly received. But it is. It is. I promise. So
I mean, I guess they probably did the Kang the dirtiest.
So I don't think I'm trying to think of like when I think of a character that was done the dirtiest, I think of someone that they tried to maintain the original essence of the comic book counterpart,
Yeah,
but failed miserably at doing so. A great
right.
example would be the current Avatar show on Netflix right now. Try to take the cartoon and like bring it up to the better medium that is live action.
There's a lot of air quotes happening if you're listening, chat.
Yes, yes. And rather than embracing the source material as a beautiful thing, like for example, Sokka not being a sexist guy at the beginning, and they're like, "Yeah, we're just going to skip past that." I'm like, "That's a huge part of his character growth." Or a great example is the Agni Kai that Zuko gets his scar from his father. He fights back in the anime or in the live action. Where in the animated, he's on his knees crying, saying, "I won't fight you, father. I won't fight you." That was the big part of. He wasn't amazing. He
Oh my
was.
goodness.
Hey, that's what happened to his eye. From the
Yeah,
Agni Kai.
exactly. Light
he
him up.
wasn't he wasn't banished because he disrespected his father in the general's chambers or the throne chamber. It was because he
Right.
refused to fight him, disrespected him during the Agni Kai. That's why he was
Yeah,
banished.
it hits different. But if you're to
Yeah,
wrap it into the MCU, do you have a pick?
I can't think of one because I think of Taskmaster
Really?
as just being a mid character that's okay.
Okay.
And honestly, every rendition of Taskmaster in any medium outside of comics have sucked. All of
Okay.
them. Like, did you play the Avengers game?
No.
Taskmaster sucked in that too.
Oof.
Um, Ghost is one that I maybe could think of, but at least they give Ghost an interesting backstory, sort of, when it
Okay.
came to the MCU. I can't think of like I guess is it Leader? It has to be Leader, right? From the
barely
Hulk movie,
barely there.
barely there, and just
Maybe
made him
so.
goofy.
Yeah.
Like it
It
was
could
just
be a
like
good pick.
straight up, just like, oh, we're baiting you for the next movie, and then you'll never see him again.
Again. Man. Yeah. And I don't think that you're going to see too much of Adam Warlock here. I think we're still, I mean, this is another one of those changes, just like 2099. The developers call it out that they're thinking about full reworks. And in the meantime, they're just trying different stats to see if they can get the current ability to do anything.
It also gives them a realm of context
Sure.
where when they see the data that comes back from being a 5-4, they can see the slight changes of like where he's being played, what like if they can get an idea of where people are trying to get him to work and they see something that's promising that he's upticking a little bit, then they can give themselves a proper realm of like, okay, well, how do we help him in these archetypes where people are playing him the most even further without making him broken? Like it gives them
Right.
that little bit of reach. I don't mind them trying this. I know it looks weird. I know it looks bad. This is going to end up being still a bad card, but I think it's going to be slightly better enough to provide them more context to where they can further place him down later. But they can't make him a 4 cost because Zabu is a menace.
Yeah, so that's kind of a common theme right now. They've also shifted Hawk from Dark Hawk from 4-0 into a 5-4. This is a very respectful change. Clearly, they want
Correct.
Hawk to still be incredibly powerful. They're actually buffing him up in 1 cost, up in 4 power, because they know they're breaking off the synergy of Zabu and Renslayer simultaneously.
Yep.
And they still want his deck to be able to stand up without those energy discounts that previously had been honestly the backbone. the backbone was like equal parts Zabu and Hawk. And now he's like, man, he hits like Devil Dino or Ronin, especially if you give him a little bit of support. If you don't give him any support, he's a 510 ish, because normally you have 3 cards in deck, and so plus the 4 base power. You're looking at a beefy lad, just like good enough to run as a 5 cost in a lot of different situations.
Yeah, I tried him in the what I think is the best Darkhawk deck there is, which is the Annihilus Sentry version. I thought that's always been the best one because it gives you the best, ease of transitioning from plan A to plan B and vice versa,
Yeah.
because they're just so consistent in that regard. And this, I think, makes that deck either the same in terms of power level or even better. You could play the exact same version that runs Zabu, and you still have 3 4-drops in Miss Marvel, Shang-Chi, and Iron Lad. That's enough of a
And
reason, in my
Sentry.
opinion, to still run. Oh, and Sentry, that's right. So no, you don't run. I don't think you run. It's just Sentry, Shang-Chi, and Iron Lad. Sorry, no Miss Marvel in that one. But
Yeah.
3 is still enough, in my opinion, to run Zabu. I think that's the minimum. You want
Okay.
3 cards to reduce.
Sure.
Now, you can go turn 1, Hood, turn 2, Zabu,
Yep.
turn 3, or if you don't want to play Zabu, by the way, you can cut him and just run Medusa, Jeff, which I think already runs Jeff. You can just run other, like, just generically powerful 2 costs, right?
Tempo.
Yep. Turn 3, you can run, you can play Black Widow, right?
Yep.
Turn 4, you can play Sentry. Turn 5, you can play either Annihilus or Darkhawk. This now allows you to open up on turn 6. You can still play Eliath if you're winning enough in the other lanes, right? And you want to throw the right lane if you're playing Sentry on 4. You
Sure.
can still play your other half, being if you play Darkhawk, you can play Annihilus to still send over that Sentry or at least destroy it, or the Void. And then you can also play that Demon that you played on the Hood earlier. Or if you're playing Darkhawk and you played Annihilus on 5, you can play Darkhawk Korg on 6.
Right.
So the
I mean,
curve is still, yeah, you
Hawk
can,
Demon also really good.
in Hawk Demon, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
still can easily make the deck work and it feels fine. And it's still going to be good. And on top of that, if you whiff on Korg, if you whiff on Rock Slide, right? Usually that's like, oh my God, my Darkhawk, he's a 4/6. That's so
Yeah. Right.
bad. Now he's a
Yep.
5/10 on average
Right.
for an average game. That's fine. It's honestly just fine. Like that's like right around what you want for a 5 cost, like the kind of bare minimum. Actually, not even bare minimum. That's a great set. Like 5/9 is what you typically want. A 5/10 is just like cool. If I have a 5/10
Right.
Devil Dino, for example, I'm like, all right, that's cool. That's good enough. Like this, I don't think this does anything except further separate Zabu decks and Darkhawk decks. Like you can
Yeah.
still
I'm
run
gonna
them
be
together,
interested to
but
see if a good card or like the kind of attack the opponent's hand deck comes around with the rock gameplay, like another synergy with that. I guess one of the synergies has often been like Ronin, but the problem with Ronin is then you have the mix up of you don't want them drawing from the deck, but
yeah, I
Ronin wants
think
to
that's
force
still
them to
such
draw.
a
So
bad idea. And you don't want to run
yeah,
Black Widow because that actually just makes Ronin worse because it gives them one less card to draw, but a
yep,
free card to play. So one less card they can have in their hand.
right. So we'll see if he develops another partner or if it's just like a mix of control and location interaction. But he still seems totally fine. We have a couple other small changes we can rattle off, and then I have 2 kind of bigger and more interesting ones to
Let's do
hit.
Forge first. Forge is now a
We'll do Forge right
2/2
now.
plus
Okay.
2. So he's back to his original stat line almost. He's back to the original plan they had back when he was a 2/1. They initially,
Right.
before they did the 2/1 plus 3, they're like, we thought about just doing the 2/2 plus 2. And here we are. Look at that. We're full circle, baby. We're back. He's okay.
It's yeah. I mean, Destroy probably still gonna love him.
I think these
Number
might
of
cut him.
other really.
Yeah, I think if you're going to run a 2 cost that buffs Deadpool, it's just Hulkbuster now.
Yeah, I mean Hulkbuster already gets the job done. So you think this opens up Bucky in the deck instead,
Maybe. Let's see. Like maybe
or
you can.
Angel?
Nope. I think
But think about it. It's a one cost. It's one
It
to
is a one
one.
cost. You know, this is a one cost America Chavez. You could run that if you wanted to.
True.
But yeah, maybe you go back to Bucky. I don't know. Like, what's another destroy card that doesn't see play? Like, does
Well,
the destroy
Sabretooth is too expensive.
destroy doesn't really have a sword master, does it? Like just a bad card that's kind of well
What's been
behind.
Bucky?
I guess.
It's Bucky, it's Angel, it's Sabretooth. Like, those are your synergies.
Yeah, but you don't want to run Sabretooth because you don't want to introduce another three, especially when you're already
No.
running Venom and Deathlock, and Killmonger for that matter.
Yeah.
But I mean, you just play Hulkbuster because most lists don't play Hulkbuster anymore. They played Forge and they cut the Hulkbuster to kind of go more in. Now you just drop the Forge for Hulkbuster.
My deck still has both, so we'll see what I do. I'll enjoy having the
I think
extra
the
slot.
average deck has been. Let me just look.
You could also just like run Shang
I
or
have
some other
this.
control card.
This I think Shang is so good in Destroy. I think you should
Yeah.
be running.
No, it's totally fine.
So let me delete that. Destroy. So this is the average deck. Okay, this one. Okay, this one does have Hulkbuster and Forge. Mine's missing one of these. It's missing Hulkbuster.
Interesting.
What am I running instead?
Yeah.
I'm running
Shang,
this,
probably.
and that. Oh yeah, I'm
I would
running
Lady
Shang.
Deathstrike. You
I'm
could
running
bring in
Shang.
Lady Deathstrike, but unfortunately, like
Yeah.
her price point is higher. But it does open up the slot. It's like a flexibility to get in there,
Where's
especially
my
if we
4 cost
see.
Lady Deathstrike?
Yes, if
4/4?
only, if only.
A 4
Now it's
4?
interesting because in our next change, one of the most common Lady Deathstrike targets is now no longer a target. Lockjaw from a 3/2 up to a 4/5. This is a huge shift for the card because at 3/2, you had the extra 3 turns to be able to fill the entire location one at a time. At a 4 cost, you're only going to be able to cycle in 2 new cards. So you're
Right.
getting less return on him, but he is more powerful himself. Obviously, if you're extending the game with magic, you can still complete the location, but it's a very interesting power shift.
I don't mind it. It kind of keeps Hela and Thanos in check for abusing the good
Yeah,
boy here.
right.
What bothers me is the stray bullet that classic Lockjaw with Thor, Beta Ray Bill, and Jane Foster just caught. Because before
Right.
you can at least go, either Thor or Lockjaw on 3, and then like you kind of wanted to have Beta on 4, and then like play Jane on 5, and then just dump your whatever onto Lockjaw. I guess you still
Right.
can, but now you're just sacrificing Beta instead of Thor. I think Beta is a little bit better on average. I don't know. It's just a little weird, a little goofy feeling, because especially now, I don't know. It's weird because maybe
Well, now
because you
is he
play
almost better
Jane,
as your turn 6 play, right? He's 5 power. Turn
right?
6
Yeah,
is
yeah. Turn
Lockjaw
6, Lockjaw
plus
plus your
Mjolnir.
right.
And then you have a 2 cost of choice plus Stormbreaker. So if you have perfect draw, it's still fine. If not, because you don't have that flexibility of Thor or Lockjaw on 3, it has to be you find Thor on 3. That I think is going to hurt the deck. So I do think it's a nerf to that version of the list. We'll see how well it recovers. That deck has not been too much in the meta overall, so I'm not too sad about it.
4/5 is kind of crazy to me if you think
It's a great
about it.
stat line, man.
Right.
+1 cost, +3 power.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by that. I thought maybe like a 4/3, 4/4, but like a 4/5
Yeah.
feels like just fine. It makes your whiffs feel way less hurtful, I think.
Well, yeah, and it's an extra slap at Adam Warlock. Went up 3 in cost and 4 in power, versus Lockjaw 1 in cost, 3 in power. It's like, what are they doing?
Hey, don't worry, Ted. You got a great curve. You can go Lockjaw on
Yeah,
4
yeah.
and Adam Warlock on 5 on the Lockjaw, hoping you get something better.
So exactly, cycle it around, baby. All right, next up, Ant-Man. This one was shocking because I kind of like Ant-Man in his old form, and now he just got a little bit better. I guess what they're looking at is the Titania and the Martyr, like the premium stat line for a 1 cost now is 5.
Like those have genuine cost to them as a 1/5, and now why on earth would you run those over Ant-Man now? Like is it that
genuine
much
cost
of
is having to fill your location,
is
but
it though?
your zoo deck is capable of doing it and more.
Oh yeah, in Zoo in particular, you're just like, oh yeah, I get to run 3 1.5s now. Cool, this
Yeah.
is fun. Oh, and that's not even counting when you hit him with Valkyrie, by the way.
Let's go. That's the big thing is this is
A
+4 on
1/7.
top of whatever you buffed his stats, either Bast or Valk.
Yeah,
Man, that is a pumping card.
makes me want to go back to the old classic Destroyer with Ant-Man armor in a lane, Cosmo, stuff like that. It's gonna be
That's the other
bad,
thing.
but
Onslaught with an Ant-Man.
right.
You could there's a world where like
Well, that's what my Destroyer deck is right now. I told you I have Mojo,
Omega Red
Warpath.
Ant-Man Onslaught. Like
Yep.
get that double slap going.
Yeah. Again, that's what my Destroyer deck is. I have Ant-Man, Mojo, Omega Red, Onslaught, and Warpath. Like those are like my main targets.
Yeah.
And like getting, dude, I'm telling you, when you have the extra thing on Ant-Man just for Onslaught already felt good before, so
Yep.
I'm be really happy with it now. It's just good.
Yep. So we've already covered Chavez. We covered her first. Then we have Swordmaster and
Oh yeah,
Vulture, both with just tiny touch-ups. I think both of them are still bad. They keep
Vulture is better than Swordmaster
well, yes, but move is
by
still
a
bad.
lot. Yes, but this is horrible. This
Yeah,
is
I
not
mean
what you
it's one
should
of
do.
these. No, because the untargeted, like the true random discard, is just not. They keep trying to make it happen. Hellcow, Swordmaster, it's
Why
not
didn't
happening.
Moon Knight get a buff?
That too.
Moon Knight should be a 3/7.
Ooh, no,
Yeah,
no,
give it to me. Give me
no.
the Moon Knight.
That's way too
let
much.
me
Way too
play.
much. But
Let me play
Moon
that
Knight should be a little
gorgeous,
better.
gorgeous uh, Met Gala, Hellfire Gala.
It is one of the prettiest cards in Snap, that specific version.
Yeah.
So do you think that there's a world now with Vulture and Dagger that like a move
No,
package is viable? Still no?
I'm standing by my answer. No.
Okay.
Um, I mean,
I accept it. It's tough. It's
it's
very
fun.
tough.
It's cool. You can move it once. It's under Shang-Chi still. Also, there is a big difference between going from a 3/8 to a 3/13 now to a 3/9 3/15. You know, like that +2
Yeah. Yeah.
puts the stacking way higher for Vulture.
But just the 3/9, like, ooh,
Right.
that's kind of
That is
nice.
nice for like, especially if you just go
Because
Vulture
you're,
and then all you're doing is Heimdall later.
well, not even Heimdall. I'm thinking like, I have Vulture, I have Dagger, and then I have Iron Fist, and I have Ghost
Ghost
Spider.
Spider.
So then I can either get two
Hercules can
moves.
go ham with this.
Oh, please don't bring up Hercules. I don't like it.
He's a
But,
4/7. He has to have some
yeah.
respect. Okay, how about this, Teddy? Play Zabu in your move deck.
Okay. Just to discount Hercules. There's not another
You run
forecast I want to
Shang-Chi. You
use.
run Shang-Chi too.
Yeah,
And
I want
Omega
to play
Red.
other better
And
cards
Omega
than
Red.
the move ones.
And Omega Red.
And the
Eh?
Omega Red. The Omega Red would go crazy if you're getting a bunch of moved, tough guys
Yeah.
over there. But
Yeah, and then finish off a Tribunal.
no, there's better ways to play Tribunal.
Is there any more fun way to play Tribunal though
No,
than
there's definitely not.
than
I'll give you
moving
that
stuff
one.
around and then slamming? They're like, yeah, they're gonna play Heimdall. I'm gonna just kind of play all my stuff in the mid lane because they're gonna win the left lane and I'm gonna be able to win the right lane. And then just like, nope, Tribunal, baby.
Yep. I have to say, like, Heimdall's win rate is probably buffed by people running like Nick Fury and randomly getting him for 8 cube steals rather than actually playing the move deck.
Oh my god, I actually went to the bottom of the page. Hold on.
No, that's the bottom of the page is where move is.
Yeah, it was just so. Oh my god.
What?
It took forever to get to the top. I don't know what's happening.
Oh, you want to see the
Heimdall.
Heimdall deck? You don't want to see
No,
the.
I want to see his
yeah,
his
look,
win rate.
there's no Hercules in the main one.
All right, well, he has a 47
Oh no!
and a negative cube rate of
Say it
0.8.
isn't so.
He's so bad. Hold on.
It's
What?
brutal.
Okay, so hold on. Let me look at Heimdall again. I want you to remember these stat lines, okay?
Herc is gonna be better.
Audience, remember these stat lines.
Herc is gonna be so much better.
Okay. But I want to let's play this game, Teddy. Over or under Spider-Man 2099.
Oh, under.
I'm going to say over. I'm trusting that the 5/9 is just better than the 6/9.
Poof.
Better win rate.
We'll take it to the bank. The cubes are lower.
Better win rate.
Cube gain is worse. People see
So
it coming. They
so
don't see the
is it a
Heimdall coming.
wash?
Yeah, we'll give it a wash. They're both very bad.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
They're both bottom feeders.
What about
Roll up Herc. The thing is that Herc is playing in Phoenix Force, which is like a good shell.
Yeah.
I think he's dragging that shell down, but it's a good shell.
Ugh.
Ooh, he dragged it down a
He's
lot.
barely better.
I didn't realize it was that ugly for him. Okay.
That makes me so
Fastest
sad.
time to be buffed of a new release, and it's still abysmal.
What
Someday they'll figure out what to do about
Cloak?
move. But they
Oh my
so
god,
far
Cloak is abysmal. What is that? Hold
you
on.
play Cloak. If
Is
you see
there
someone play
hold
Cloak
on.
against you,
If
you should
I
snap.
if
Apparently,
I type in
it was a
I type
minus
if I
0.23 cubes.
if I type in Cloak and I see Agatha, I'm gonna scream. What the
The most popular is a bad zoo deck. Who made this?
what is
It's
this?
the perfect average cube loss at 0.69. But
19.2% win rate in 3,300 games played
is
between
this like
80
a
and post
is this
infinite.
like a like an Asian server challenge fad that like popped off or something like we have no clue about? The deck is running Black Cat, guys, with no way to bring it back.
And also
and
running
Case Heart
Swordmaster just
and
because.
Swordmaster. This is like literally a meme deck that like some content creator was big enough, like who can win with this?
And the
And their
one to the
whole
right is even.
chat played it.
These are look how they're all like the same.
Yep.
They all have like the same core. It's just like
It's a bad core, chat. It's a bad core.
what is going on?
We'll have to sleuth on this one. If any of you guys know,
What a
you'll have to
rabbit
let
hole
us
this is.
know. But I think we're going to have to pivot into our tier list where hopefully we'll see some hotter cards.
Yeah, I was gonna go off on a tangent about magic cards and Zabu, talking about Hogak here. We'll save that for next week.
Zabu is the problem. I'm tired of Zabu warping how they balance forecasts. So I think we're in agreement there, but
This is Zabu right here. Here he is.
yep.
You know who else is
Horgak,
Zabu?
the Arisen,
Here's another.
Necropolis.
No, this is the other Zabu. This is Zabu
Karn
as
the
well.
Great Conqueror.
Creator, not conqueror, but yes.
Creator, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just been a couple times in Snap where it feels like,
doesn't this make you feel good? Just looking at like the old border, the old like doesn't this like just tickle you a little bit? Even as a non-magic player,
doesn't
Teddy?
do anything for me. I never played it.
Okay, but look, here's look at the sleekness of like the modern border, right?
Right.
And like
right.
this is planeswalkers. It has special abilities. +1, do this one, -2 this one, has this much as its own life. Cool.
Yep.
It's nice. But then you look at this and it's like, oh my God.
Just
I can't
a square block of text with no stats.
I can't understand what's going on. No. But I like it.
And then you know that the errata is even longer somewhere. You're like, the card says this, but it actually does this.
Well, it's funny because this was a secret layer that they did like Planeswalkers in old text, like if Planeswalkers existed in like beta, and they templated them the same way as they would have that back then. So it's just such a meme. It's so stupid. I love it though. I want this, but it's banned.
Gotcha.
It's banned.
Someday maybe we'll kickstart our own card game, Brad. Wouldn't that be fun? The Can't Stop Snapping branded card game.
Sure. Are we gonna just go reach out to DC and actually make a card game that's not going to get shut down in about a month's time? Like
no,
DC
we'll
do
Force? Star Wars. Star Wars fans are
Isn't
dying
Star Wars just
have...
coming out with a card game?
Not a digital one. But yes.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Star Wars Snaps, it translates so well. We'll just rip it off.
Just do straight up Snap.
There's planets, there's locations, there's factions.
Yeah.
It writes itself. We've talked about this on my stream ad nauseum, but I think today for the tier list, let's remind ourselves what the S tiers were of Series 3. We'll dive into Series 4. It should keep us fairly streamlined. It's a tiny series. It's almost, might be smaller than Series 2. This is, as we get into Series 4 and 5, they're supposed to be cultivated to be good cards. But what really happens is Series 5 is cultivated to be good cards, and the bad Series 5 cards go into Series 4, so I think we're going to have a pretty interesting discrepancy of some all-stars, like Legion, and some, bottom feeders.
Snapwing.
Snap, you're a bot.
Yeah. So, welcome back again. if we look back at no, this one reset itself. No, hold on. Teddy, I have the one I sent you, the screenshot
Yep.
of
I know
the
Deadpool was
original
at the
one.
very, very top.
Open
And
link.
I'm happy to see that as of
Here we
the latest
go.
OTA,
Well,
it
no,
hasn't
that one's
changed.
saved. That the Deadpool one saved is right here.
Cool.
That was
Yeah.
last week's. But
Deadpool and Shang at the very top.
yeah, Shang was top of S tier, and right now, if we had to put them in the same thing, Shang is number one
Yes.
because he warps the metagame around him.
Sentry leading off A tier, B tier. Give us like just some example cards, kind of the middle of B tier. We're looking at like Mystique, Thor, Negasonic, cool stuff
Right.
like that, but just more niche applications. Starting us off in Series 4, Dakin 3/4, create the Muramasa Shard in hand.
This feels. My initial thinking is B tier.
Yeah,
It's just solid, but it's not like you're clamoring to build around him.
right. With the doubling effect being so powerful, I thought there might be more clamor to build around him, but he ends up just being decent value in a deck that is a B tier deck as well.
It's
So,
also the fact that Shaw exists, so there's no reason for
right.
Surfer to run him. Where it would make sense for Surfer to run him just because of like the Killmonger, Nova thing that sometimes that deck runs. It's like, okay, cool, I can
Yeah,
do that.
buff him up.
Now, if they gave our boy Swordmaster targeted removal or targeted discard, like, okay, what if Swordmaster was
Yeah.
just the same thing that what's it called does
Calling
Samurai?
Wing?
No, Samurai.
Oh, Silver
The
Samurai.
lowest power, but only for your hand, not your opponent's
Oh,
hand.
your lowest power. Okay.
Why not?
Yeah, sure. Why not? You can't have that stat line, but why not?
Yeah, 3/5, same as Lazef.
Sure.
Okay, look at that. We fixed the card. Second dinner.
Yeah.
I'll take my check. I'll send you the
Royalties
address.
to Can't Stop Snapping.
Yep.
Next up,
Next.
Dark Hawk. 5/4 +2 per card in your opponent's deck. Recently changed. It's actually going to be kind of hard to evaluate this one. I think still A tier? I think formerly S tier with some hesitation now on the change.
Where's
We
my
bump him down to
guy?
A.
Is he way up here? Am I just blind? Yeah, he is up here.
Because
Why
I
are
know
you
you
up
said
here?
that you were just kind of running the exact same deck and doing fine. You're going all the way up to S still
Yeah,
at 5/4?
until I'm shown that he's worse, definitively, because we both think, right, Teddy? We both think this is a lateral move, correct? And in some cases, a
Yeah,
buff.
and he's one of the packages that has really stood the test of time of
Yeah.
always being up there.
So until I'm shown otherwise and provided evidence of him being significantly worse to drop to A tier, I can't. I don't think I can put him off of S tier. I think as a 5/4, he's just fine.
I would probably say that he's low S tier from
Yes,
the other ones,
he
but
went from
he
being
deserves an
almost
entry.
top 5 potentially, or like in that middle range, to probably the back part, like towards where Omega Red and stuff like that are.
Yeah. Blob completely knocked him off the face of being played, and now he's trying to make his comeback. So we'll see how that goes. Echo coming in at 1/2.
Where you at, girl?
Disable your opponent's ongoings played at this location. Fascinating little tech card.
Yep. When she's good, she's good. Makes me think B tier, but she
Yeah,
needs a meta to exist. So I think C tier.
she needs the ongoing meta to exist. Like, you have to be able to predict. Saying goodnight to the teddy wife. You have to be able to predict reliably that your opponent has powerful ongoing effects and that are even like lane dependent. I mean, Ms. Marvel was the thing, right? Everybody wanted to play Ms. Marvel mid. You played Echo mid, and then your opponent is like, I can't play Ms. Marvel mid. And then they realize I play her in a side lane, and she's still better than other 4-cost, Brad.
Right. But
we're not talking about Ms. Marvel.
Ever since her nerf, she hasn't been played nearly as much as she was off rip, which makes the Echo not just a slam dunk played in the mid lane and you're happy.
Yep. Okay. Ghost Spider 1/2. Move the last card you played to this location. I think, can we agree, the best movement activator card?
Yeah, she's a B tier. I would say better than Dakin. on average because she's
You put her B tier. How strong do you think the Phoenix Force deck is?
um, fairly strong, but not because of her. That she could not
Okay.
exist, and Phoenix Force is just fine because if Phoenix Force didn't enable itself and you could move it and stuff like that,
I
especially
guess
now
it.
that they fixed the interaction
Yeah,
with
you
multiple
can
man,
move the clones.
yeah, I think Ghostfire is just gravy.
Yeah.
Um, I think she's
You
better
saying just
actually.
gravy always throws me off because I think of like saying just gravy as like a saying that like it's really smooth, it's really good, and you say gravy as it's just like extra on top
Yeah,
and not that important.
it's the frosting on the cake, right? It's like
Yeah. Okay.
that's
Gotcha.
probably
Um,
that's a saying you might be more familiar with is like the frosting,
yeah, yeah.
frosting on top.
I'm good with this. Is this a Florida thing? It's just gravy.
Maybe it's a southern thing. We got gravy down here, my guy.
I'm from the South. I'm from Dallas.
That's right. Well, okay, hold on. You're Midwest South.
Now, yeah.
Like
Now,
like
definitely.
like Texas is its own thing.
Well,
Like
yes, that too.
Texas, like I'm talking about like Bible Belt. When I think of Bible Belt, I don't think of Texas. I think Texas just kind
Oh,
of being
what?
like, I
Texas is Bible Belt.
hear me out. I think
Some of the
of
biggest churches in the
I,
world down in
I
Houston.
that's not that doesn't that doesn't mean anything to me as far as the churches go. I mean, when I say Bible Belt, I mean like the Southern like Baptist, like just small chapel kind of thing. No
Louisiana,
big cities
Mississippi,
whatsoever. Yeah, I think of Louisiana, I think of Alabama, I think of
Georgia.
Missouri, Mississippi,
Okay.
Georgia, of course. I think of like that clump towards the east, right above Florida, essentially. And then once you go past like or towards the Mason Dixon line, that's where I'm like, Texas is just like
It's Texas.
you have so much influence from Mexico
Yeah.
that it takes away a little bit of the Bible Belt feeling because
Well, yeah. In the
Texas can still be pretty racist, but
Texas cities are just
you
like urban nothing kind of
yeah,
stuff.
like do you see what I mean? Like, there's enough culture in Texas to like, you know, if I go to Birmingham, Alabama, and I go to literally any other city in Alabama, I'm like, yep, this is Alabama. If I go to
Yeah.
Houston, if I go to Austin, if I go to San Antonio, there's enough of a difference and a different vibe across all of them that I can just be like, oh, I'm in. I don't. It doesn't feel like Texas. Also, it helps that Texas is like the fourth biggest state in the country. Third, fourth or third?
Brad, what the heck is number two?
No,
Alaska's number one. Texas is number two.
isn't California number two?
No.
Okay, by
the,
population, it's number two.
by population, I don't know where we fall
But
on
then Alaska's
population.
not
It's
number
also
one
constantly
anymore if we go by
no, no, no.
population.
Yeah,
It's like number like 40.
I actually don't know the population split off the top of my head. I know that New York, Cali,
I don't
Texas are
know.
at the very top.
See, you laugh at me and say like, "Oh, how could you not know that Texas is bigger
Then
geographically
California.
than California?" When
Yeah,
California is just long, you
yeah, it's
know,
just
like no one.
long.
Okay, put it
It's a
this way:
long boy.
Florida's top five, and no one thinks of Florida as being a big state because it's a long boy,
Yeah,
right? Do you see what I mean?
right.
It's easy to
No,
just be
I
like,
see what you mean. Also, I've lived in Texas, so I didn't
okay,
even know there were other states until middle school. Okay,
hey, there you go.
yeah,
That's how it
that's
should
how they
be.
train you up. Yeah, breach, havoc, 2-0. The strange, bizarre card.
See,
Murdered
yes.
cheap viper for our enjoyment. You put him generously at C here. I do
I,
not
I
like this card.
I think, hear me out.
Okay.
I think he is a card that should be B tier
With
based
his
on
current stat line?
correct.
Okay.
But people have not played him enough because he has such a crazy restriction and he's not incredibly interesting. So
No.
he's not very fun either, I don't think, for a lot of people, right? Um, I
He
think,
needs
but I think
to
he's
be
good enough to
able
be C.
to not be. He needs like the can't be destroyed or have his power reduced tag. I feel like
Can
the
we just
same
not?
stat line.
Can we stop bringing that into the game? Can I get Black Knight to lose one of those, please,
I would
on the
love Black
blade?
Knight to lose it, but I would love to move it over to Havoc.
Because like Black Knight, just make it destroyable. So that way you can't just freely play the
No, no, no.
blade into
Make Keep it, can't be destroyed, but make it reducible. That way we can see some parity with Shadow King and Valkyrie coming into the game.
Yeah, but then there are two things that can deal with it. Whereas as far as cards go, it's really just Shang-Chi on the destroy end. Yes,
Yeah,
Negasonic kind of counts.
but I'm looking
But
at play rate, Brad. Shang
yeah,
gets played more
but
than
then
Shadow King and Valkyrie
but then the other
combined.
thing is though, I agree with you on that sense, but from a game perspective, having your card that you invest resources into
Yep.
essentially die to a 2
Yep.
cost feels
Yep.
way worse than dying to a 4 cost. And
Yes,
I'd
but also
rather
from a game
remove.
perspective, having a whole suite of control cards when people only pick one, always this same one from every
Oh,
deck is like not good.
so you agree that Shang-Chi should
Yeah.
be a 5 cost?
Oh no, I'm okay
uh,
with it. I want the other cards to get cheaper. I want Valk at 4 before we
then
see
we
Shang at
need to see
5.
Zabu change.
Maybe, but then yeah, then you're almost like, can I make it so that Shang can't have his cost reduced?
But
And
then
it's
you're
like
back at
that's a whole
inelegant
nother
design, baby.
it's an inelegant change. I understand, guys. Zabu's at the end. We'll get to him. Right now we got Hit Monkey.
Oh, yeah,
3-2
Zabu's
on
4.
reveal. What? Yeah.
I forgot.
Uh 3-2 on reveal. Gain +2 power for each other card played this turn. And there's been some discrepancy when he released. He did not synergize in terms of cards played on the same turn with Invisible Woman and like Dark Dimension, but now he does. So if you play him alone on a turn behind Invisible Woman, he will then actually pop off with the cards played on turn 6.
Am I blind?
For Hitmonkey,
I
is it
cannot
the old
find
stat
him.
line? Is it the 2-0
Well, it
stat line
doesn't.
from the?
I thought he might be up here because Darkhawk was up here, right?
Oh yeah,
Um,
the
and
tier list
then
is all over the place of what
Hella
the
see
cards that we
he
pull
would
from.
be around
Head
here,
monkey,
but he's
that
not.
funky
So I come
monkey.
down here. See, there's Super
So
Scroll.
Hitmonkey, I think is underplayed. I think he's fine. I think that Hitmonkey and Werewolf by Night can play. The Hitmonkey drop deck is good. He's next to Agatha and Jeff. I see him now.
Oh my
Below
God!
White Queen.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
No. Alpha by Alpha by nothing apparently. But yeah, I think that
Arrow,
the Hitmonkey
Agatha,
drop deck is
Hitmonkey, Jeff,
fine.
Snowguard, Stegron. How? What is going? This isn't
Mm-hmm.
alphabetical at all.
Wasn't this like an order of card releases? Like they
Yeah,
stopped
but
doing
then
Alpha.
it's also simultaneously in alphabetical. So why is he
True.
there?
I don't know, man.
Oh, he's I don't know. He's either top of B, bottom A for me.
Yeah, I think so. Let's go top of B just because we're seeing him so little. I'm a little surprised that Bounce has not bounced back as much as I thought it might, especially with Black Swan. Still
Right.
waiting on that to really take effect, I guess. Howard the Duck. 1-2. C and generous at that.
I
I
think
say
he's just,
D.
but I mean, look, D, I think of below average. I think he's a 1-2
Yes,
stat line, provides
below
a
average.
semi powerful effect.
It's not that good.
I feel like he's an average card.
You feel like he's an average card. He's an average card that I have cut from every single deck I've ever built.
Well, that's because
And
there are
I've
better
been
cards than average cards.
none the sorrier for it. Man, Howard,
What's the best
I was
Howard deck?
actually excited for Howard when he released, but then playing him, it was one of those that just like never felt good.
Oh, he's got a positive cube rate,
It's true.
almost a
He's better than
50% win rate.
Move. So what's his main shell? It's in Living Tribunal, right?
No, I think it was Galactus.
Oh no. What?
That's the
It's a
top deck.
meme?
That's yeah.
What the heck?
5,000 Galactus ramp with a Goliath arrow
Why?
Sandman.
Why would you run Howard?
That Iron Lad synergy, baby.
I guess that's true. That's true. You're just looking for the pop off. Okay. That extra hit.
I like him in Tribunal. It's just.
I can't believe that's actually what it is Howard using Iron Lad to fish for Galactus. That's
I mean, that was the
nuts.
initial interaction that I thought of when I first saw him. Like, yeah, cool, Iron Lad's dope. So that's why I liked him in the deck with Chavez. I just want,
Yeah.
this deck should run Jubilee too.
Right, I'm surprised it's not. Well, then you can't get the Galactus to go off.
Just don't run the Galactus at that point.
Oh, thank you.
It's
It
too
might make it
cute.
better.
Look at
Kitty
that.
Pride 1-1.
All right, so are we okay with it at C, or do you want it at D?
Yeah, I'm okay with it at C.
Okay. Kitty
This is
Pride's
the
a B tier.
1-1 Kitty Pride. Here's the thing. I keep seeing Glenn
Where
playing
is
Kitty
she?
Pride decks, which astonishes me. But I don't think she's made it
Here,
back. Now,
kitty,
this
kitty,
is
kitty.
tough to evaluate because Hope Summers comes out beginning of next season, and I think actually makes Kitty good again. Because when you play a card to Hope Summers' location, you'll get extra energy on the following turn. So that would really help you facilitate effectively the Kitty Pride gameplay just for free. And then when you're adding a big Kitty Pride on top of whatever else your deck wanted to be doing, especially if you're using like the Elsa Bloodstone, could be looking at a pretty solid combo there. But we have to evaluate her without this right now. So I'm probably going to put Kitty in B or C as well, if we're ever able to find where
Where
she is
is
to
she?
drag off. I have not seen her yet. She's got
She
that
should be
yellow and
down here, right?
blue
Okay, let's
yellow
let's
nameplate.
talk together. Look at this: Absman, Adam, Arrow, Agatha, Jeff, Snowguard, Stegron, Iron Lad,
Yep,
Tribunal, Nebula, High Evo,
we already
blah
know it's
blah
not
blah blah
alphabetized.
blah 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 blah. Loki, Goliath, blah 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 blah. Elsa,
Did they
Man
just
Thing,
miss her
Mirage.
in this list?
It feels like it. It feels like she's not in the list. She's not down
Kind of
here.
feels like she's not in the list.
She's not up here by Kang. Oh, there she is.
Well,
Found her. Why is she up
oh,
here?
she's by Kingpin. Of course, that's where I think of her.
Yeah, B tier. I would put her right below Hitmonkey. I really think her with Elsa is still good though. I still find enjoyment and
Bold
success out of it.
statement.
Uh,
Bold statement.
is it
You
that
know who
bold
else
when I
is
show you
good?
this?
Oh, yeah, show me.
That we played waiting for the we were waiting for something. Where was it? Yeah. I named the deck Elsa's still good, I promise, and we played 8 games and we went 7-1, baby.
Nice. Slam them down. Let's go. Shuri in there as well. Did you ever play Kitty on Shuri in those games?
Maybe once.
Ah, that was the classic.
It was a backup plan. I was just like, I want a decent backup plan because I want to run Vision and Jeff and Nightcrawler for the Elsa, especially with the Jean Grey too. So I was like, well,
Sure.
Shuri makes sense in that case because let me go Shuri into Vision, then still just Taskmaster everything like I want anyway, while also being able to do the Shuri Kitty Taskmaster thing as well. So it felt like a decent marriage.
Not bad, not
I
bad.
I think this is a good deck. I really do. Play it, please.
It has no control though. That's tough.
Control. Don't need it.
Ready to kick the door down. Null. 6-0. Should have been a big bad. Woulda, shoulda, coulda been a big bad. I mean, it's S tier, right?
Correct.
Probably high to mid S tier, even if we look at the other lists. It's just
If we
so
compare
powerful.
it here,
And Null's been strong in a lot of different iterations. You have decks that go all in on Null with Zola. You have decks that use Null just as kind of like the work him in, as long as you were popping X23 on turn 5. And in the past, you had decks that was Galactus Null. So he's going to keep on finding useful places. And Mr. Negative Null is, an off meta pick, but was still good enough to run.
yeah, I'm going to say that Null is higher than Deadpool. I think I would put Null number 2 currently, right behind Shang-Chi.
Ooh.
Just because prior to X23 and even with X23, like I said, we had the Deadpool meme. Deadpool deck was a meme, and Null was like the big boy real Destroy deck. And now there are plenty of games in which I'm playing Destroy, and I'm like, well, could play this Deadpool, couldn't really establish the X23. I have Null in hand. I could do Null in Death, because Death is free, or I could do Deadpool in Death. Well, Null is just worth 15 more points than Deadpool at the moment, so I'm going to play the Null.
Go figure.
Look at that.
Another Destroy card. Haha, but a different spectrum. Lady Deathstrike. 5/4. Destroys all cards at her location of lower power than her. She's right next to X23 and Renslayer there. Man, I had a Lady Deathstrike deck. Like, I had her in my Destroy deck for a little bit. And she produces some fun moments, but it's just too expensive. It's always been too expensive.
Is D too harsh?
You know what? No, because like Lockjaw got more expensive. That was one of the reasons that like she
Yeah,
can kill Zabu, she can kill
and we're getting Red Guardian soon.
Lockjaw, and then she can kill Dracula. Those are like your
Ooh,
premium hits.
Red Guardian doesn't hit Lockjaw anymore. One of the reasons that he was interesting from the data
Mm-hmm.
mines.
Yeah.
He's a 3/4,
Yeah, maybe they'll buff him. Who knows? Three
or
five.
or
I don't
they'll
know.
just say Lockjaw doesn't need to get hit anymore.
Wait, Red Guardian? I thought it was just a random card. I didn't think he cared about stat line.
He did. It was remove the card text from the lowest power card in the opposing
Oh, yes,
lane.
the lowest powered card. Right. I mean, it could still be Lockjaw at that
It could.
location,
It
but it
could.
is way less likely. True.
Especially in
All
Thanos
right.
particularly.
From the highs to the lows, man. Legion, 5/7. Also, maybe could have been a big bad. I mean, the way that he took over the meta as a Series 4 release was phenomenal. Going A tier here. He's since fallen significantly out of favor, but I agree with A
He's
tier.
he's just criminally underplayed. People
Yeah.
they nerfed him from a 5.8 to a 5.7 and he's still incredible. Like that the list I was just showing you, the Kitty Pride I threw in Legion is just like this was my 12th card that I
Ballast.
put in.
Yeah.
So I couldn't figure out what else to do. And I'm like, you know what? Legion's good. We'll just play Legion. And he won out of these 8 games, at least 2 of them that were limbos.
No,
Because you could just go
100.
Legion Kitty Pride at the end game, and you're like, this Kitty Pride's an 8. Like that's just
Yeah.
fantastic. So
100%. Legion's awesome. I think part of it is that the meta shifted into decks that really needed, they had a central 5 cost to their game plan. And if you have a deck that has any kind of flexibility at the 5 cost price point, he is kind of best in class. I mean, we'll see if we come up with any
to
other
be
good
fair,
answers.
he is for the most part a mainstay staple of the Sarah control list.
Yeah.
So at least he's getting some recognition in that regard.
Yep. Next up, Man Thing. 4/5 debuffs the 1, 2, and 3 cost cards at its location by 2, by 3.
This is where I put my foot down.
Double checking.
He's a B tier card, and I won't accept
By
him
2.
as a C tier card. I will not accept the slander of Man Thing. He's way better than people let on, especially with Luke Cage going back to a global effect.
Yeah.
He can just solo a lane on his own. You can even just go storm into Man Thing, and on average, they have small things in the other lane as well, especially because they're incentivized to play things like Nebula there. Yeah, you hit your own storm. Who cares? He carries. He underplayed. It's just compared to other cards and the type of thing he does, people don't view him as a generically strong card like an Omega Red or a Miss Marvel. They view him as I need to be doing something in adjacency to his ability. I need to be making my opponent, lose other power elsewhere,
Well,
like hazmat
yeah,
stuff like
they
that.
think that they have to go all in, that like
Right,
Man Thing is a hazmat deck. And it
but he's
doesn't
not.
have to be a hazmat deck because a hazmat deck is not good.
Correct.
It's fine. It'll win some games, but it's not meta and not nearly. But Man Thing, I think, could see more
And they
like
think you
out
have
of the
to
cards.
play debris or something. Like you don't.
Yeah.
Please
No,
don't.
I mean, yes, there are ways to win more with Man Thing, but you can also just try and capitalize on Man Thing. And it's interesting that people really embraced the puzzle of activating Miss Marvel, and no one really tried to embrace the puzzle of activating Man Thing. But I guess part of it is because it's so dependent on what the opponent is doing, and then the
Correct.
opponent can react once you put it down. So it's tough because you almost want to hold it until you see the lane of most impact, but it's also safe to play early because it doesn't get hit by Shang. So
I mean,
it's a
if you
dance,
just play it on 4 like it's intended,
right?
you're gonna hit a lane that probably
Are
has
you?
a 1 and a 2 in it.
Do you think that cards are always intended to be played on curve?
I think that's how they're designed. Yes, I think
Okay,
they take into consideration
interesting.
things like Zabu and Sarah in their playtesting, but they want cards to just be generically good enough in their own stat line, in their
Yeah.
own skin, so to speak. Right?
Yep. No, that's interesting. I would say there's some cards that are clearly exceptions, but for the most part, I do agree that they just kind of intend cards to be played on curve. Even though that's for a lot of cards, you want more flexibility. But
Right.
yes. Next up, Martyr 1/5. At the end of the game, she will move to a location that loses you the game, if possible. Is it possible to lose when you're playing a stat efficiency of 1/5 multiple times with Ant-Man, Martyr, and Titania?
Yeah, I'm gonna say she's a B tier card. Um, I want her to be A tier, but the change to Ant-Man makes her B tier.
Yeah, she's seeing more competition now at her price point. You've also seen changes to some of the, well, Adam Warlock was a cute combo. I'm not going to give it too much credit, but
No,
Pro
yeah.
X being able to lock in a early tempo advantage that Martyr was securing you has gotten weaker pretty significantly with that point change that he received. So I've not seen too much Martyr play. I mean, we both know it. We've talked about it. We play Zoo, and the most emoted card out of our decks is Martyr.
Yeah, they always emote on it. They're like, wow, you're
Yeah,
playing
they're
that
like,
card. I'm like,
what the
yeah.
heck? That's so
But yeah,
lowly that you're
this
playing it and then you slam
this
them.
I was playing solely in post infinite with 36 and
Yeah,
26. An okay win rate. But in post infinite I play more recklessly. Like the reason my prio deck looks insane is because I'm climbing. You have the crazy net
yeah,
cubes, good win rate. That's because I was climbing from 73 to right after post infinite.
yep.
Ravona, this I'm just like, eh,
Let's see what happens.
exactly. So this should be better, I think. Probably a better record, at least a better cube rate if I was snapping efficiently.
Sure.
Um, but this was really good. Just Black Swan on 3 when you have Ravona down and just go like Martyr, Titania, lock them off
Man,
with Professor X.
I
It's
need to
so
go
much
back and
fun.
test more Super Giant, man. I'm surprised that when Destroy was as popular as it was, more people didn't turn to Super Giant. But I guess this shows just how few people got her.
Yeah, I think she's still really good. I just played this a couple days ago. Like you can see, I played like maybe 5 games on stream and just won.
Yep,
Um, this can still be refined. I think Arrow can be something else. I think you can just play Cole in the list as well.
sure.
Um, at this point, I think the sweet spot again is 3 cards. But yeah, Martyr, good card.
Another one cost, Meek. 1/1. In Meek is after you've on turns where you've discarded. Sorry, after each turn, if you had discarded any cards, gain +1 power for each and move. So you move once, but you gain power per discard.
Okay, so let me say this is a contextual C tier because if we didn't have that OTA the leak, where they accidentally added card text to cards of like planned ideas that they were messing around behind the scenes.
Yeah,
If we never saw Meeks, which was the same thing, but instead of it moving at the end of the turn, you can move it next turn,
so much
right?
better.
That makes me go, oh, it should be here or even here. But because I know what it could be, it's C tier. I think of
Yeah,
reality, it is a slightly above average card. I think. Let's check the stats on it. I am a
the
curious
APOC
boy.
deck. I mean, the APOC deck is pretty ambivalent to running it. I've seen plenty of the decks cut it. I've seen some of the decks use it.
I mean, this is
Rarely does it get.
a very respectable, solid, above average
Yeah,
card.
yeah.
So I think it is a B tier. I don't know.
No, it does. Meek does fine for himself. That ability to be able to choose, if it does get unlocked, the ability to choose where he would go on a following turn it would be so much better.
Now you notice that the bell curve is getting way more messed up because they do a pretty good job of their new releases as of over the last year or two, right? Like the new
Yeah, I
cards that
think
come out.
Series 4 is going to be kind of wonky, and Series 5 is going to be like, oh, here's the
Yeah,
power.
very top heavy.
Let's go to Mirage 2/2. On reveal, copy the lowest cost card in your opponent's hand into your hand and give it +2 power. It's fascinating looking at Mirage because I remember numerous headlines from content creators and reactions that Mirage was explicit power creep. And I was like talking about all the power creep in the game at the new stat line that was present. And now she's like, I don't know, mostly cut all over.
Yeah. It's just where do you play her, you know?
Loki.
Okay. And that's it.
Or maybe, how does this always happen? That new agent, Mockingbird,
Mockingbird.
Songbird. One of those
It's
is
Mockingbird.
coming to the game and would be good with Mirage.
Yes. Would be good with Mirage. Could give that card a little bit of a resurgence and maybe
Because
spawn a
then
new
her
archetype.
card would read, copy the card into your hand, give it +2 power, and discount my other big finisher, my
Correct.
5/9 by one.
I think Mirage is another card that reminds me of Man Thing, where it should be like it's a sneaky, like could be a B tier card, like could be above average. I just think that like she's just not played enough. A, because she's uninteresting as a card for the most part, and B,
She's
just because
settled into a position as the mirror match breaker. If you're in a one-dimensional meta, you play Mirage and try and just steal a better version of a card you want to play anyway.
see, this is why I want sideboards, because Mirage is an incredibly interesting sideboard card.
Yeah. Once in a position where you know the opponent's list and what you could potentially be receiving.
Right. Imagine like bringing her in a destroy deck when you're in the mirror against a Deadpool.
Oh yeah. Turn 5 Mirage against Destroy goes crazy because it's Death or Deadpool.
Right.
Stuff like that. So, but I could also like I can't see her being buffed.
No,
like this is her stat line.
She's a good stat line.
Yeah.
It's just she has an average output because she's, you know, again, some of these tiers don't speak to the real story of the card. It's just where they are now based on where people play them, people's interest in them, and like what deck she goes in.
Mobius M. Mobius. 3/3 ongoing. Your costs can't be increased. Your opponent's costs can't be reduced.
A-tier.
Locking up the A tier edition. I mean, he was S tier at a 2 cost, at a 3 cost.
Supremely and obscenely broken at a 2 cost.
Yeah. Insane. And I think we're about to see a huge surge with Pixie's release.
Both against it and with it. This is a staple in the Pixie deck.
Yeah, it's a staple.
Because if it works like we think, where it makes your cards, if they get the bad roll, stay at the same rate.
Yep.
It makes your Wasp and your whatever still 0 and never increase. Yep. That's terrifying.
Oh yeah. I mean, it means that you could have like more 1 and 2 cost cards in that deck that are effective on their own right, but still passing off an insane discount on your big pieces.
Right.
I love it. MODOK, 5/8 on reveal. Discard your hand.
Is this also an A tier card? I think like it because think about
I think he has to be.
Think about what he goes in. Is he higher up? Like is he in this somewhere? Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I think he's A tier. I think he's below Legion of Mobius. But
can we pan over quickly to Dracula?
Yeah.
I think that his conversation has to be like next to Dracula and some of the other discard activators. Dracula was also A tier.
Does Lockjaw move to B tier now as a 4/5?
No, we have to get more time. I'd leave him where he's at, but maybe.
Well, I'm not saying right now because we can't make that call yet, but I think if we were to be betting,
I think he drops in play for sure and effectiveness.
Yeah.
But yeah, MODOK in A, especially looking at where Dracula sits, I feel good about that. Discarding your hand, just really, really fun. And now when your hand can also include Proxima Midnight and some of these other new toys.
Helicarrier, just giving you random cards. It's fun.
Morb still going crazy. Meek is another thing that loves MODOK. So
yeah.
Next up, Marshmallow Man himself, Nimrod. 5/6. When this is destroyed, add a copy to each other location. He's one of those destroy cards that has just been overshadowed by the dominance of Deadpool X-23.
Yeah, I
think I go B.
My reasoning is because, like, I don't know, I'm just never afraid of it. Even when I'm going against...
What?
I'm never afraid of it. I'm never afraid of Nimrod.
You're never afraid of Shuri Nimrod? That's like... crazy.
It doesn't scare me because usually I'll run.
How does that not scare
I can run things that can stop it. I can Shadow King it.
Yeah, but who plays Shadow King, Brad?
The control deck does. Teddy. I can give you the bottom of B tier. I just don't think it's better than these cards. I think if the only thing that holds this up to B tier is Shuri, then I think as a card itself is not as intimidating as it could have been.
Yeah, it is tough. It's not as intimidating as it could have been. I think that's a good way of putting it, but the high rolls are really, really powerful. I mean,
because when you Shuri Nimrod and like Venom, then like, Carnage to do it again or whatever.
Yeah.
kind of thing.
If Venom ever goes to 4, then it's like the death of Nimrod.
Is
The
it?
rest of Destroy will be fine, but yeah, because then it's way harder. It has to be Carnage Venom together rather than Deathlock
I'm
Venom.
gonna be honest. Some Nimrod lists don't even run Deathlock, and it's just the Venom and Carnage.
I know, but
Like
that's like the Phoenix Force
they're
version.
already prepping for that
Yeah,
change
the Phoenix
apparently.
Force version likes bringing it back.
Yeah.
It's a weird spot. I thought he was going to be a bigger deal. He's never really materialized. It's just overshadowed by the other Destroy cards. I think he's fine. Like, I don't want to see him get buffed, and that's kind of how
No,
I
he
think
already
about
did
like
get
B
buffed to a
tier.
5/6.
Like he started at 5/5. Like if I look at the B tier cards, I'm like, I don't really want them to get buffed, but they just don't quite punch up. So yeah,
Maybe Kitty can go back to a 1/2.
I could see Kitty getting buffs and be just. I love her. She was one of my favorite cards.
She's still a fun
Ravonna?
card. I think she's still
Oh yeah.
good.
Debatable. Renslayer 2/3 ongoing. Your cards with 1 or less power cost 1 less, minimum of 1. She feels like she keeps on losing toys in these recent changes, you know?
I would say she's better than Meek, better than Nimrod. Um, not as impactful as some of these other cards. I guess I have to put her above Man Thing purely because of track record shows her have more being more successful than Man Thing. Though
Yeah.
I think in my heart of hearts, Man Thing is actually better than she is.
No, I like this positioning for Ravonna. I was pretty happy with her at her release of a 3 cost. I had some success in that pocket meta at the time with a specific list that I was running. I've still come back to her from time to time with the Hawk lists, but now Hawk is broken off, and so I think she's going to be looking for her
The
a new thing.
the Ravonna X deck I showed you is very fun.
Yes.
And like she's a good card in those decks or these kind of decks. Yeah, you can play her in negative and stuff like that, but I think I don't know. I'm happy to see Darkhawk be lost as a toy because now it gives Second Dinner more incentive to cook interesting low cost cards to
Like Havoc?
give her, yeah, like Havoc, like to give her more interesting cards. I think Havoc's fun. I think Havoc's good in that deck. By the way, Havoc underneath Professor X is really good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because it's protected, right? Silver Samurai 4/5 on reveal. Each player discards the lowest power card from their hand. He is not getting run in many versions of discard ATM. He is really struggling to find a spot. I was having good success with him and Gambit as my 2 interaction cards in my kind of value discard deck. So I think there's a shot. I was running Dakin in there as well, so I had plenty of good targets for him just to go ahead and destroy for me.
I can't find him.
Is he B or is he C?
I think he's B. Just the fact that it
Okay.
attacks.
You're gonna put him up at B tier.
Yeah.
The hand size.
If I could find him, I'm
Mm-hmm.
blind. I swear.
You have to scroll up a little probably.
Like
He stands out because he's
why
in
would he
that
be up
yellow
here, though?
background, white foreground.
See, it's also the problem that I don't play a lot of the base arts, so like I forget.
Oh, it's something where you're too. Is this a poor person? What's the meme? Am I too rich to understand?
It's a first world problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Silver Sam would be in this row if he was up here, but he got released closer to around these cards, right?
Right, but he's not next to them. Fascinating. I really wanted hand attack to be a thing, and it's never quite been a thing. It's also been pretty meta dependent, and like especially the Thanos decks did not care if you were knocking cards out of their hand, and so I think that did hold him back for sure.
Is this just ordered by series
No,
one? No, because the tomb is up
there's
here.
not a rhyme or a reason, mate.
It's like randomly alphabetical and then restarts a few times
Yes,
over.
exactly. If we see him, we'll bring it back. Let's dig up Snowguard, which is right there by Jeff.
Yeah.
Snowguard went crazy with the change and the Loki meta, and now Loki's kind of gone. But Snowguard is still pretty core to that deck, and the deck does fine.
And I've been seeing
You're
more
going
Snow
B
Guard
tier?
in like random, just like shield, non Loki, Devil Dino stuff, and like
No.
it's perfectly fine.
Yep.
And look, man, Snow Guard turning back on, the Savage Land, the ninjas, or the rocks from Collapse Mine. Very
Yeah,
good.
that's the thing. So there's a handful of locations where Bear will just win you a lane, and then because it's turn 3, also the game, the opponents will rarely stay in for that. And then there's a handful of games where Hawk will just win you the game again.
Right.
Now, because the opponent knows that Hawk is coming in, I think that makes like a beautiful mind game, and that really highlights one of the strengths of Snap is that situation where they're like, I know that they have Hawk, but will they play it? Should I play into Death's Domain? Or are they going to bluff me and not flip it, you know? And who's going to look like the idiot after they make the call? Like that is like perfect peak Snap to me. And so I do think that Snowguard is a very well balanced card. Spider Ham 1/1 on reveal change. What are they calling it now? Transform the leftmost card in your opponent's hand into a pig, keeping its power and cost.
Still very good. B tier.
Why has he not played more?
I think because there are too many one costs people want to play to establish early priority or a way to gain priority in a later turn. Things like Sunspot, Nebula, Ant-Man, Martyr, Kitty Pryde, even like or even Meek and discard, Deadpool and destroy. Right. So if you look at a lot of the decks, there's not as much interaction on one, but in the decks where there are cards you want to play on one to interact with your opponent, it's usually Spider Ham or Iceman. And I've been seeing Spider Ham be played a little bit more than Iceman.
Yeah, I love that you get the information of what you hit. That was what was really broken in his earlier iterations where he was hitting random cards. Um, and then moving it to just be the leftmost, it took away the like brutal recycling bounce attack kind of style of play, but I think he's still quite solid. Um,
Oh, this
I
is
guess
mine.
it is meta dependent, right? When you're in a hella meta where the guy's like, "Oh, you got my, Infinite is the worst case example, but also like Giganto and other stuff like that." Then you're like, "Yeah, sure, I'll just keep on slamming you." Or even like Magneto, you're like, "I don't care. I still have my
I mean,
612 kind
I'm
of stuff."
surprised he hasn't seen more play in the Hella meta that we currently have.
Just
Um,
trying to hit hella.
right. Like, because
That's what I'm saying is
the
that it's
longer the
dangerous to
game
play
goes
him in the
on,
hella meta.
well, partially, yeah, but the longer you hold on to her, the more likely it is she ends up in the far left hand side of the hand anyway, right? So you just play him
I
on 5.
guess. I guess.
Also,
Yeah,
his cube
just to
rate is
like
0.25, win rate 52%, 7% popularity. Let's compare that to
that's good.
Iceman.
Oh. No, Iceman.
Do I just have
Oh,
an
I want to say
Iceman
that
deck?
Iceman gets
Thank
a
God.
higher play rate, but let's see.
I would imagine higher play rate. A lower play rate
But
than
better
Spider Ham,
stats.
but
Oh
yeah,
man.
better stats.
Fascinating. Fascinating.
I think because this has more RNG to it,
Yeah.
where Spider Ham is just like I mean, okay, they both have RNG, right? But the RNG on Iceman side is I might hit one of any of these cards. Where Spider Ham is always like I hit this card. So it's either do I hit one of 7, or is it like I don't know. The math is similar, but it feels like it's worse for Spider Ham because it's always the leftmost card.
Well, I think part of the difference is that it shows both players what's happened.
Yeah.
And if it's a key card, players are way less willing to play through it, especially because it happens so early
Oh
in the
yeah,
match.
that's right.
Whereas
Easier
Iceman,
retreats.
people are a lot more often to like keep trying to come up with the plan B,
Yeah, you
even
never
if they've been
retreat off of
hindered.
getting Iceman on one.
No,
But
no.
you might retreat if your Living Tribunal gets hit on
I
one.
remember I remember the retreats on Iceman
APOC.
into no,
Uh,
like just Iceman into Scorp, and the opponent's just like, nah, I don't want to play this anymore.
get a life, baby.
Those are good days. Yeah, get a life, Brad. All right, next up, Phoenix Force 4 or 5. Such a beautiful card. On reveal, revive one of your destroyed cards and merge with it. That card can move each turn. And in the case where that card can then spawn copies of itself, those cards can also move each turn. This one is my ongoing campaign to allow cards that merge with other cards to have a new graphical interface where they would be able to cycle through which card face is
Right.
showing on like a couple second timer. I think that would be gorgeous. And you are underrating this card. This is an A tier card. I was thinking about pushing for S tier card. Like it is its own archetype. And it is the only reason that archetype is played.
Correct.
It's such a standout.
Again, we talked about this last couple of weeks. If that was the only criteria of the tier list, then yes, it'd be an S tier card because it is the one of its kind. But
that's why I'm pulling it down to A tier overall.
I mean, these aren't crazy good numbers.
Of what I see from Zuka playing this card in like the top 10 season after season. Oh,
okay, yes, but if we can't just base it off the best of the absolute best piloting a singular card in one position. We have to take. That's why I mean already the filters I have at 6,000 plus collection level, 80 to 100 plus. Those are already pretty tight filters, right? To show like these are the best players on average. Yeah. And these are pretty lackluster stats, Teddy.
I mean, it's a high rolly deck. This is the deck that everybody goes to.
It's a high rolly deck, and it's still not putting much of a good cube rate. I expect a high rolly deck, Teddy, to have a 0.35 at least, because you steal 8 cubers. Isn't that the point of a high rolly deck?
No, I still like it. Like it keeps coming back. It's an evergreen. Whenever there's turmoil in the meta, this is what people go to because they know like they can high roll people. And Phoenix Force just makes the deck. It stands out from all the other cards by so much.
Okay. Meanwhile, Hela, which is a far worse deck in terms of high rolly stuff, but better at stealing 8 cubes. I will give you that because if you present Phoenix Force getting multiple man, you just retreat. You should retreat against that. So I think, but that's an inherent problem with the deck. It's a lot of you need to snap very early.
Yes, you have to know when you have the combo to be able to translate into cubes because
But the second
the Hela deck can be surprise Hela, but you're never going to be like, oh, surprise Phoenix Force because you set a Phoenix Force on 4 or 5.
And to take it one step further, let's look at the meta in this thing. Let's see where it is. Is it not in B tier?
Phoenix Force?
Yeah, I don't see Phoenix Force. Loki 3-5, Zenazu, Chorus Glaive. I don't see it anywhere. It's just not listed.
I didn't see it either. It should be B tier.
Yeah, it based on the stats. I mean, it's like around this tribunal, but it's close to Loki too. So it could be. It's like bottom B, top C, either way.
Yeah, something in there.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I think off of how good it is as a card, like that should be the primary criteria. And it's top of B to me. It's better than Bounce, I think, right now. It's better than pretty much everything in here, but it's not on par with Legion, Mobius, and MODOK. I just don't
feel like it is, though. Here's the thing, is if I'm piloting the Phoenix Force deck, if I see Phoenix Force in my hand, I have such a better outlook on the game. Like, that's one of the reasons Phoenix Force as a deck is not as good. It's because the games without Phoenix Force, it can't get it done. When it has Phoenix Force, that makes up all its wins.
Yeah, but, like, it also is a reflection of how poor the deck is in general anyway, right?
That it has to have Phoenix Force? I mean, that's the fault of the deck, not the card.
But okay,
I think it's a difference in evaluating like how much I think Phoenix Force is a standout from that deck.
Let me look at one more thing.
And for
did I click on Phoenix Force itself?
No,
I don't think I did. Was it at the top here?
You're just kind of grading it as the deck that it's named after's performance. Which I can understand either approach. I just take the one that elevates this card.
It's got a 0.09 cube rate, 47.4% win rate, and a
This is
1.2%
real bad.
popularity. Come on,
Woof.
Teddy. It's a B tier card.
Fine.
You got to see the forest for the trees.
I still like it.
No, I like it too. I think it's a really cool design. It's a great card. It's awesome that it's a card that spawned its entire archetype that is destroy adjacent, but not a destroy deck. That's great. That's one of the coolest. This is brought out one of the coolest decks in the game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But God, does it just need something? It needs something better than a Nimrod backup plan.
Yeah.
You know? Like that's
sure.
what like because this I think is the best version. The Nimrod backup plan. I always thought that was better. The Shuri into Nimrod kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I would do too.
But I think there could be something better. And
Right.
also, when I play this deck, Teddy, I get to name it the best deck name ever as a 1986 Firebird or Pontiac Firebird. That's always my deck name when I play this deck. It's beautiful.
Exactly.
So I'm not hating on Phoenix Force. I just don't have enough of a heartstrings getting pulled when I think of the card to not have any biasy, or to have any biasy, I should say.
All right. Well, let's go back, take stock of our tier list. This is us for the night, guys. We definitely don't have another big cat staring us in the face. We love you guys. No, Zabu, 2/2.
Ah, shit.
The big bad. Here he comes.
You had me fooled because I was like, did this dude lie to me that Zabu is not? I mean, it's an S tier card.
Boom, 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 boom.
It's better than Null.
It remains to be seen. Is he better than Shang? Is he better than... Ooh, how is it going to stack up with the Series 5 releases?
It's close.
He's definitely at the very top from what we saw here in Series 4.
I think there's a... At the moment, my brain tells me that Shang and Zabu are 1A, 1B.
They are towards the very, very top. And I could probably see Zabu getting changed before Shang, but I don't know. He's starting to become just like a game fixture. Given how many of these other 4-cost cards that they have changed around Zabu instead of changing Zabu, it's like we have a pattern here. They Zabu.
All right, hold on. I have a great example. Let me show you Luris of the Dream Den. This is a magic card. It's also a cat, just like Zabu.
Perfect.
And it's banned. Look at how many places it's banned, Teddy. Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, Explorer. Banned in 4 formats. It was also even banned in Vintage, but then brought off the list.
Okay.
So, Companion. Companion means it lives in its own zone, called the Companion Zone, and you can pay 3 at any time to add it to your hand. And then you can pay the 3 that it costs to play it. And then each permanent card in your starting deck has converted mana costs 2 or less. So that's the cost of having a Companion Zone. And then during each of your turns, you may cast 1 permanent spell with converted mana costs 2 or less from your graveyard. It kind of has a similar vibe to Zabu, caring about a particular type or cost to your deck.
Permanent spells.
Exactly. And making use of that. Rather than dancing around and looking at, hey, we should ban one of the cards in Humans that plays this deck. We should ban... here's a good example, because a deck that played this a lot was SRAM, which was this guy. Cares about equipment, vehicles, whatever. You draw a card. They could have just been like, oh, we should ban this guy, because this is the main engine of the deck that this Luris deck is in. We could just ban him. Luris isn't the problem. It's this guy. Or you could ban one of the equipment or auras that he like. There's an armor one. I can't think. Oh, there's so many armors. Oh God.
You're searching through every card with armor in the text and magic.
Ethereal Armor. Look at that. We found it.
But
Ethereal Armor is a 1 enchant creature gets +1/+1 for each enchantment you control and has first strike. Could have banned that. This is the best aura in that deck. It's a 1 cost that Luris cares about. But you know what? Wizards of the Coast recognize that this guy is a bit of an issue. Let's just kill him. It's like the SpongeBob meme where it's instead of the should we tell him, they change it to let's kill him.
Yeah,
It's that. That's
exactly.
what Wizards did. Uh,
So, but how would you want to kill, quote unquote, kill Zabu? I know, so there's like two pathways to go, right? And we've talked about it a little bit. You're interested in seeing Zabu take on the Black Swan text, if it's only for the next turn. You could even be a little more generous
yeah,
and say it's for the next 2 turns.
yeah.
Get a little experimental with it.
It's that's probably the easiest solution. It's not really
Well, the easiest is just changing his stat line to be more expensive, right?
right. Like I did like your idea of making him like a 5 something, so he like another version of Sarah. Um,
Right.
and then I'm even cool with the idea of giving him the -2 reduction like he originally had, but as a 5 cost, like a
Yeah.
5/2, right?
Right. Pivoted very late in the game.
Which lets you go, 3-4 costs on 6, but you're probably throwing priority pretty hard in those instances.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah.
which also still makes him very good in the Sarah control deck. And now, rather than being able to go Zabu and Sarah, you can go either or. But Zabu essentially does a better job of what Sarah does at that point.
Yeah, when you want to play Shang Enchantress anyway, and then you just work in another forecast
Or just
that's
play Shadow
either
King like
just
I usually
raw
do.
value. Yeah, so Shadow King, Shang Enchantress is still your final play. It kind of fills that same spot, and depending on his stat line, it might be more interesting. It locks you into like that is the play rather than Sarah's more generally flexible, but could still be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think Zabu's too much of a design constraint. Again, I'm not hating on the card. I use the card a lot. I like the card. I like playing 4 costs. A lot of my favorite cards are 4 costs. I love Darkhawk. Well, he's now 5 costs. I love
What if
Sentry.
what if your next 4 cost is like -2?
On reveal, then your next 4 costs 2 less.
Yeah.
Or what if you put him back to being a 3/3? No, it's building on your idea.
Yeah.
Same idea.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
on reveal. One time.
Okay.
3/3 on reveal. Next turn, your 4 costs 2 less.
Yep. Okay, so we're back to Black Swan, which I'm fine with. I'm
Right,
fine with
right.
it being a temporary thing, but like a bigger
It
burst.
lets you play
I think that
2
would be
4
cool.
costs on 4 kind of
Right.
idea.
Yeah.
I think it keeps the card interesting and like really good when you play it, but it doesn't just make a like I'm so far ahead of you button kind of thing, or like
it needs to be, because now it's just so straightforward, and the opportunity cost of running it is so
because it's a 2
low.
cost.
The 4 cost cards in the game are balanced about being competitive without Zabu. So then you just add Zabu to any deck, and they're too good. That's been repeated over and over again. So there has to be more of a game, more of an engaging element, more of a trade-off of including Zabu with 4 costs. Because so many decks want to run these valuable 4 costs anyway, and then you're just like, oh, I can get them cheaper. Well, heck yes, I will. And then to top that all off, they have specifically made some of the most powerful control effects that you want to play at the end of the game 4 costs. And when you can combine 2 of them together on the final turn because of this discount, it's just too much.
And honestly, even the 3/3 on reveal thing, getting its original effect back, that even still could be close to being too good.
The final thing that I would be okay with is he turns himself off automatically on turn 6. He's just the current card, but he does not discount anything on turn 6.
Yeah, it just says ongoing until turn 6.
Yeah.
Because
then you can still play a 4 cost on
actually,
3.
it would have to say after turn 5. So you can't. It's not like Vault that unlocks again on 7.
Right. Yes.
So
something
ongoing
like that. So
after
you still
turn
get
5,
to rush on 3. You get the discounts on 4 and 5, but you don't get to double up anymore without another effect taking place. You have to work in other cheap cards to make sure you're using your energy effectively.
Yeah, I like that.
Cool.
Yeah,
There we go. Zabu S tier for now. And there's no change in sight, guys. We're just spitballing here. We'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. Also, what you thought of our tier list today. I'm pretty happy with where everything ended up.
Yeah, no F tier cards in Series 4. And I think there's going to be none in Series 5 as well.
Well,
The
We'll see
lowest one
about
will be
that.
Master Mold, right? And that's just still a D tier card. It's not an F tier card.
There's also Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah, but do you
Master
snap
Mold and
against a
Kang the
Kang? Doesn't
Conqueror.
Kang just make you go, "Oh, what am I gonna do? Why are they playing Kang? What is going on?"
I mean, if it's just that I snap when I see the card, I don't just snap against Kang the
I know,
Conqueror,
but
but I do wonder what they're
yeah,
doing.
but I don't think Kang's an F tier card. It's a D tier card. It's below average. Let's look just for funsies. Let's see Kang's stats real quick before we leave everyone.
They're going to be such a low play rate, it's not even going to be reliable.
Let's see.
610 games.
That's a lot. 0.3, baby. It's got a positive cube rate. Positive cube rate.
Negative win rate by a lot, though, guys. Negative win rate by a lot.
It's getting you just barely over.
Wow. Big bad, everyone. What do you guys have to look forward to on our next cast? And then stay tuned. We are going to be pitting the best of the best against each other for the true top 10, top 20, the S tier of the S tier. Going to be really looking forward to that episode, Brett.
Yeah, I am too. And if you want to see these episodes early, go to patreon.com/can'tstopsnapping, where you can see these at least a day early, as well as bonus episodes. There's even a bonus episode on there right now all about Thanos, how to play it, what his strengths are, weaknesses, all that good stuff. Oh, and by the way, if you really wanted to, you can watch these episodes live through our Patreon as well, like we have a couple people doing right now here today. We love you. We appreciate you. We hope you join us next week when we talk about Series 5. And we'll actually have more to talk about in terms of the fallout of this OTA. And maybe we'll be able to definitively say, Lockjaw's is actually in B. Maybe Darkhawk drops from S to A. Who knows? But
anything's possible.
But we'll see you next week.
Keep on snapping.
Bye-bye.
Can't Stop Snapping is a podcast hosted and produced by Brad Seffer and Teddy Ninja, originally created by Michael Thurman.